Hello everybody, Dan here with TrendSpider, and in this video I'm going to tell you a little bit about one of our best and most powerful features, something we call the Raindrop chart. Now, keep in mind, this is something that you can't get in any other platform. We invented it and developed it, and it is available exclusively inside of TrendSpider. So with that out of the way, let me tell you a little bit about it. I'm going to zoom in a whole bunch here on this chart just to give you an idea as to what you're looking at. So this is a PFE chart, that's Pfizer, this is on the daily time frame, and this is in raindrop mode. So each of these candles is not really a candle, it's a raindrop. And let me explain what you're looking at so you understand what exactly these represent. Let's take this one on last Friday. I'm making this video on a Saturday, so you can understand what exactly this means. So the first thing you want to know is this raindrop is like a candle in two ways. The first way is it has a high and a low. These are going to be the same high and low that you can get on any standard candlestick chart, right? So there's no difference there. The other way that they're similar to a candlestick chart is they each represent a fixed period of time. So this is a daily chart. So each of these raindrops represents 1 day of price action. That's where the similarities stop. The next thing you're going to notice is that each raindrop has this shape to it, right? It's got like this blob shape on each side. I'm going to get to that in a second, but the first thing I want to touch on here is the fact that raindrops, unlike candles, do not have open and close prices, right? I'm going to repeat that. There is no such thing as an open or close price on a raindrop chart. You might be asking, what exactly are the dashes on either side of each of these raindrops then? And those represent not an open or close price, but they represent a volume-weighted average price. To understand that, you first need to understand that each raindrop is split in half, right? So each one of these has a right side and a left side. The left side represents the first half of the period, and the right side represents the second half of the period, right? So if this is a daily chart, which it is, then each side represents 3¼ hours of price action. That's because a US equity trading session is 6½ hours long. If you're looking at a cryptocurrency or a Forex pair, then each side will represent 12 hours because those types of assets trade 24 hours a day. The dashes are the volume-weighted average price for that half of the period. So for the first half of the day, this dash right here at about $40.19 represents the average price that this asset, Pfizer, traded at during that half of the day. The dash on the right represents the volume-weighted average price that this asset traded at during the second half of the day, right? It works a lot like open and close prices, except they don't represent an open or close at all. The reason that raindrops use VWAP, volume-weighted average price, instead of open or close prices is because we believe that open and close prices are somewhat arbitrary. They don't tell you much about the price action of the asset that you're looking at other than what the price was at a particular point in time. The VWAP abstracts away that fact and creates a new way to measure it, right? And this is where raindrops get their color from. If the right VWAP or the VWAP of the second half of the trading period is lower than the left VWAP or the VWAP of the first half, the raindrop will be red. If the VWAPs are reversed, where the right VWAP is higher than the left VWAP, then the raindrop will be green. And if the VWAPs are at the same level, right, in the first and second half of the period, they will be blue. I'm going to get to blue raindrops in just a second here. The next thing you probably are wondering is, okay, if this is the VWAP, then what is the blob shape on either side of each raindrop? This is where it gets really interesting because that shape represents the complete volume profile for that half of the period, right? It is rotated 90 degrees and converted into an area plot chart and then slapped on either side of each raindrop visualization. By doing it this way, we can see how volume moved throughout a period of time. You can see that there's bottom one here, this raindrop that I'm going to stick a little red arrow under right here. This was the bottom of this pullback. And this raindrop traded down, and a lot of the volume was in the lower half of the period, right, in the first half of the day. But then in the second half, buyers stepped in and started pushing price up. This created a volume node at the upper part of it and moved the VWAP there and made this raindrop green. You can see that there was a continuation after that for 3 days. Next, on Friday of this chart, you see kind of the opposite happening, right? This raindrop has a long wick, meaning not a lot of volume transacted here either part of the day, right? And then the VWAPs are reversed with the right VWAP being lower, and it has this kind of balloon-like shape to it. that is a bearish raindrop. The one right next to it and the ones before that are bullish ones, right? And they tell you a lot more about how price and volume are moving together than just a simple price chart. There's a lot of edge in these. The next thing I'm going to touch on is these blue dojis. And you're going to notice that blue raindrops tend to cluster, right, in particular areas. They also tend to mark tops and bottoms very often, right? It's not a hard rule, meaning it doesn't happen all the time, but you can see that at the very bottom here, there was a blue doji that formed, right? And you can see at the very top here, back in December, there was another blue doji that formed, right? Almost at the very top. You see this very often, and the context of where a blue doji forms is important, as important as a blue doji forming in the first place. If you think of this on kind of a technical basis, on a highly liquid asset, it is very difficult for the price that buyers and sellers transacted at to be all at the same level throughout an entire day. That's what a blue doji tells you. There's a lot of other stuff that I can get into when it comes to raindrops. You can use them in a variety of ways in TrendSpider. There are specific patterns that only appear on raindrop charts, and this is, again, something proprietary that you can only get in this platform. But I only have a few minutes for this video, so I can't get into all the details. I would definitely encourage you, if you find this interesting, to read the white paper. We go into the exact method and math of how raindrops are calculated and forms, because we believe that if you're going to use this in your trading, you need to understand it. And be sure to take a look at it in the scanner and the backtester, because these are ways that you can search the market for certain raindrop formations, such as blue raindrops, such as balloons, such as double flips and other types of patterns that you see in raindrop charts. Right, and you can also search the market using the scanner. Keep in mind, there's a lot of nuance to these, right? Not enough time in this video to even glaze the surface, but you should keep in mind that they do affect everything on your chart, from the bars themselves to the indicators calculated from the bars. They have a sort of volume weighting effect on everything. So I hope you find it interesting. This is just a sample of what raindrops can do, so definitely check out the platform, start a free trial if you don't have one already, and explore them on your own. And hopefully they'll help you find a little bit of extra edge that can help make the difference in your trading. Thank you for watching and your interest, and have a great day.